Hello, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Pivotal Change. I am your host, Ryan Kahn from CS Business Consulting and Shelton Associates CPA. What I want to do is prepare a little bit of a special episode for you tonight, and it will be sandwiched with an incredible advisor and consultant that is also a mentor of mine. So what I want to do is have you take a pen and paper out, as I normally like to have, and I want to present you a little bit of a mindset about advisors and consultants. And then we're going to have that conversation with Wayne, and then I want to wrap up with a couple of extra points on the night that I really want you to take home. So what I want you to do is I want you to consider this question. Have you ever heard that you should surround yourself with the right people, people who are smarter than you? You could probably raise your hand to that one. Or how about if you've heard surround yourself with people who lift you up? That's a pretty common one. There's versions of that saying that you need to surround yourself with these overly positive yes encouragers, and maybe there's some truth to that, but I want to challenge that because I largely disagree with that blanket statement. One of the things I want to do is tell you a story about back when I was a detective. And specifically, I made sergeant first, and then I became a detective sergeant. So my career in the police department during a phase went from being a detective, being promoted to sergeant, going back on patrol and running various shifts on patrol, and then being promoted to detective sergeant and taking over the undercover drug and vice unit. If you are not aware, undercover units operate completely differently than the rest of the units in a police department. There's huge liability, huge risk. There's also a lot of things that have to just really cross your T's and dot your I's. And there's very nitty gritty details in cases that go to the state level, they go to the federal level, and they can last for years. And the history of this unit is because of the pressure that you are under and the meticulous nature of which it exists usually makes or breaks your career as a sergeant. And it can determine whether you get a lousy shift later on, whether you no longer are a viable candidate for upward promotion to captain and whatnot, or it may ultimately result in a demotion. So I was incredibly nervous because I had the suit and tie detective experience. I'd been in incredible opportunities throughout my career in patrol, very success. I was leading a SWAT team at the time. I was a lead instructor in many positions, but I had now been commissioned to go into an undercover drug unit and lead it as the sergeant and commander of that unit with effectively zero experience. A couple of cross missions was all. So I was completely baffled. And I actually went to the captain who was placing me in that unit and said, "Sir, I feel like I'm going to fail. I feel like I'm almost being set up to dead end my career. And I have a whole ton of learning that I'm going to have to learn, but I'm also going to have to lead at the same time. And this is one of the most vulnerable moments of my life where I opened up to somebody and I said, what can I do? Why was this decision made? And what is the exact expectation of me in this unit as somebody that is very unfamiliar with the true happenings of an undercover unit?" So my captain took me aside as an advisor and he said, "Listen, I am not here to set anyone up to fail. You have a specific set of skills and details and a way that you speak with people and encourage, and you're incredibly ethical." And he basically flattered me for a minute, but he's not known for flattery. These were important, encouraging statements he was making because he recognized the self-doubt. And then he told me that I need you to bring detail back into this unit. I need you to bring certain types of initiative and pull back the reins in certain areas because undercover drug work is some of the most aggressive side of law enforcement. You really get to go out and get after the bad guys with buying stolen firearms, working sex trafficking and prostitution, working the bigger, larger drug trade and things like that. And so you're not just reactive to when somebody calls 911. You're not just reactive for when somebody complains about running the stop sign in your neighborhood and you go write tickets at that stop sign. You're aggressive. And so in this moment, I realized that he was being a very certain type of advisor, and he consulted me throughout my career and said, "You ask me questions, try to figure it out yourself, but you come ask me questions and we will make sure that both you and the unit succeed." What a breath of relief I had. So there was really no ramp up period. I had less than 2 weeks notice before I was shifting on the next payroll period. And then boom, I took over. I had a very interesting image of what that job was going to entail. And it wasn't anything like the image that I thought because I had a good advisor with me. So, one of the things that I learned from that point forward and other points in my life is I learned that I need a different type of a different type of who do I surround myself with? And it really concreted in the list that I find. So, here are some of the people that you need to surround yourself with. By the way, that captain was 3 times ago the commander of that drug unit and had the exact experience. So, one of the people that I want you to identify with as your circle of advisors is one, somebody with experience. Somebody that has literally walked in your shoes, been there, done that, and has a world of wisdom and experience of which you can rely upon. They're going to coach you on your decisions and they're going to say, hey, have you considered this? Ooh, you may want to avoid that. And they're going to be able to truly take you under their wing as a mentor. So the expert advisor is somebody you really need to hang your hat with. Now, that one is a little more common sense. People will say, hey, if I can get somebody that's done this before, I'm going to lean on them. But I would say formalize a relationship and you, in your communications with them, say, hey, would you mind mentoring me in this endeavor, in this field, in this new world that I'm entering? Use that word mentor, and you'll watch somebody's posture become upright. And they may take a moment of pride to say, wow, I've never had the opportunity to formally mentor someone before. So, that endeavor in the drug unit, I now had a captain who said, I'm going to mentor you. Another person that you want to do, that you want to avoid, is the yes man or the yes woman. Someone who just says, oh, yeah, you're great, boss. Oh, yeah, let's do it. Oh, hey. And whether you like the person or not, Donald Trump says he refuses to surround himself with people that say yes all the time. In fact, if he has somebody on his cabinet, on his team, on his executive staff that just says yes all the time and never disagrees with him, he'll get rid of the person that never finds disagreement with him because there's no two people that always agree on everything. And he needs people that are going to challenge him and make sure he's heading in the right direction. So you need to avoid yes men. But the second one that you really need to get, really most people don't consider. And here's all I want. You need a healthy rival. And I use the word healthy. A rival is somebody you're gonna push against, you're gonna even compete with. You're gonna say, hey, I wish I was taking this, but you might be going for the same position. So I had a couple healthy rivals at the police department that I was very close to in my career. I was very close to in my education and my skill set, and we would often go for some of the same promotions or skills like SWAT teams and firearms instructors and detective units. And so when I attached myself to that rival, they were also ethical and moral, and they weren't trying to supplant me and ruin my career. And really, the relationship was like this. Imagine back several years ago when you were riding your bike through the neighborhood and you look across at your buddy and you say, hey, I'll race you to that stop sign. 1, 2, 3, go. And then you pedal, 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 right? Well, you may bust out in the lead. Then you see your buddy creeping up behind your shoulder and he starts pedaling faster. As soon as he gets close to you, you pedal faster as well. And then he passes you and you pedal faster until finally, boom, one of you wins the race to the stop sign. But guess what? You got me today, but tomorrow I'm going to beat you to the stop sign. That's the healthy rival. That's the people where they're going to speak plainly to you. Oh, you tried to take that curve and cut me off, but it didn't work, and you bumped the curb and your bike and you lost control, and I was able to get ahead of you. Ha ha ha! If you wouldn't have tried to cut the corner, you would have beat me. That healthy rival is going to point out your mistakes, but also encourage you to get better. The other one that you need is the objective advisor, somebody that has a different view. They're an outsider. They do not work in your industry. They do not participate in your day-to-day life. So this advisor can consult you in specific ways. Hey, have you thought about this? Hey, what about this workflow? How about hiring a person like this or saying it like that? And maybe a light bulb goes off because you're considering something that's outside of your regular wheelhouse. And those objective advisors can do a really healthy job of standing back and saying, whoa, 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 look at the big picture or look at this from somebody else's view. That's not going to look right, smell right, taste right. You should change, you should adjust. Or they may be able to say, hey, you just said something really clever, and I don't think you realize how clever it was. So you need to have an objective advisor, somebody that is an outsider from the realm that you generally operate in. Here's one that most people think. You do need a genuine encourager, a hype man, a cheerleader of some type, somebody that's going to tell you to get after it. Come on, keep going, keep pushing. I know it's tough. You can do it. They're going to celebrate your successes. They're going to pick you up when you're down. They are a morale support. And this advisor is going to coach you and say things like, hey, I can see that you're getting down. Hey, I can see that you're slowing. Hey, what's wrong? Push a little farther. You're almost there. Look at the light of the end of the tunnel. So this isn't quite just surround yourself with positive people, but oftentimes we find this in our partners, our most intimate relationships, our spouses. Sometimes it's our kids, sometimes it's our parents. But that cheerleader may also grab you by the shoulder and say, I need you to buck up. I need you to get this. People are depending on you. And that's a whole different type of encourager. The last one is you need the person that is loyal. You need the person that whether it all falls apart, they're by your side and they can advise you in a whole lot of areas. Okay. They aren't going anywhere. They see you for you. They know who you are. They know your strengths, they know your weaknesses, and they can swoop in and say, hey, this is not your strength. This area is not where you are your best. Do not spend a lot of time here and get to this better area. That's loyalty, not necessarily encouragement, but just hard facts of I see who you are. I can add my wisdom, I can add learning, I can add value to your situation because I am attached to your success. They may be a leader of yours, it could be a sibling, it could be many different things, but they have to be attached to your success. So as we move forward, I want you to hear more about advisory, more about consultants, and let me summarize the first segment of this episode. You need to have a successful expert, somebody with experience. You need to have a healthy rival, somebody that's going to push you and you're going to challenge and compete. You need an expert, you need an outsider that's objective and an encourager, and somebody that is loyal and is going to give you advice based on knowing the intimate side of you. So sit tight right through this first break, and we'll be back with a very special guest and mentor and advisor of my own right here on Pivotal Change.